Hello, folks. Hello. Welcome. Wednesday night, Techthusiasm live podcast on the eve of Christmas this coming weekend. So, welcome everybody. We'll be just chilling, chatting tonight about some recent content, some year in review, and other thoughts. I was a little nervous. I realized I thought I had kind of counter scheduled into the big Audioholics live stream about the Denon Marantz direct live release and stuff, but it looks like they're offline. So hopefully folks, that wrapped up on that one. I'll check that one out later. We'll be segueing over here, but it's been a week actually doing weeks back to back. Time and schedules and health and all that has seen me kind of not doing quite as many of the live podcasts, but finally able to get back to back 2 weeks in a row. So I hope everybody is having a good end of year. Folks maybe wrapping up work for the year, getting ready for the holidays, getting all your gifting and arrangements and all that stuff done. We're gonna have a pretty normal, I think, lowish key holiday coming up. We usually kind of split the days around our families, so we've got that plan going on. We got a family wedding actually scheduled in to the Christmas week coming up, so activities around that, lots of stuff going on. I may actually work the Christmas interim week between Christmas and New Year's for the first time, and I don't know how long, due to some extra value I can get out of that. But still have plenty of family time. Hopefully, get some movies and stuff in the interim as well. Been watching some family Christmas type movies. Just recently, actually, we did one. We did one tonight after dinner, sitting in the living room there. Not very Christmas-y in here. Not too much by the way of decorations in the office, but our living room and the rest of the house is all dolled up. So my main topic, my main thought, I guess, jumping in was to think about kind of a year in review a little bit. I put out the video this past Monday about my top home theater upgrades for 2023. So we'll go through a little bit kind of my thought process there, why I chose what I chose, what I was thinking, and maybe a little bit about some of the things that I didn't choose actually for that list. So a couple quick shout outs. Julius, welcome, and MT Young Percussion, stoked to be around for this one tonight. Awesome. I'm glad that you're with us and happy to be joining in. So yeah, so I conceived of I did a best of last year, although it was pretty minimal. I think my 2022, I just did kind of my two favorite pieces of tech last year for 2022. And one ended up being Kaleidescape. 2022 was the year that I've kind of reinvested in K, and I flipped from the Strato S to the combo or the separate Compact Terra Strato C, and kind of reaffirmed my plan to be full bore in the Kaleidescape ecosystem. And then I picked my Kindle as another one. This year, there's quite a few to play with, quite a few things around the rooms and home theater and whatnot this year. So I had a little bit more to choose from. Most everything that I did, the list wasn't that deep overall. Not like my best of 2023. I don't have quite the list that like Andrew Robinson and some of the other folks have, where they've literally reviewed hundreds or whatever pieces of equipment and had that much gear come through their hands. I was more or less kind of limited to the things that I bought, of course, upgrades that I made in the system, but there were quite a few. So I picked my top three and really wanted to focus on the ones that I felt made the most impactful difference in the usability in my setup. And so my kind of criteria then was, what had the more profound effect in my enjoyment of using the spaces, or feeling the upgrade of certain things. And so there was definitely some questions in the comments of that video about why, or some surprise maybe that I didn't choose a couple of devices over the others. So if you haven't watched it, the video's up. I don't want to completely rehash it, but for the sake of just kind of continuity, I'll actually, I can share the screen here a little bit too. My number one, that's not what I want. There we go. Yeah, my number one, it was the chairs. So if you've been a fan of the channel, been doing this YouTube thing really almost 2.5 years now, I've been talking about home theater chairs probably since the beginning of the channel. So you've been long timers, long time tech enthusiasts have been hearing me chat about these for nigh on 2 years. By the time I actually was able to make something happen and make the switch over to these, and I'm just over the moon for these. So I had to put them in my number one slot. It might sound a little bit I don't know, biased in some way because Audio Device is a partner, they're affiliated the channel and all that sort of thing. But literally, it's not influenced by that. It's influenced by the fact that in terms of having a make things feel different, make the experience of using the theater feel different. This has honestly the most profound effect in doing that. It makes me want to go to the theater. It makes me sit more comfortably. It makes me feel more engaged to the content. It changes the character of the room when you walk in and just look around, and it feels more like a cinema room. I think there's been a number of folks actually that I've had over to the house since we've gotten the chairs and been able to run them through some demo. Non-home theater enthusiast type folks, friends and acquaintances, and some other non-Techthusiasm but business partners and stuff like that have come by, and taking them into the theater and sitting in the chairs changes things very profoundly versus the couch. And so I'm super happy with these features, the capabilities, the lights that you can turn off, uh, and more. Made that a pretty easy number one pick for me. Yeah, in terms of that tangibly profound impact of enjoying the experience of the home theater stuff. Number two, of course, was these NADs. I was able to pick up an M23 for the living room and a dual pair of the M28s for the theater. And so these ones, I put this on the list because this solved, I think, what was probably my most frustrating shortcoming in my spaces, um, and that's the speaker buzzing. So, and the living room, very annoying, audible, sitting all the way on the couch, around in the space in the room, being able to just hear that buzz. And I was even really starting to notice it in the theater as well. If I would turn the system on and be in the room with nothing playing, I could hear the IW6s on the Parasound A52 pluses also starting to buzz. I don't feel there's anything wrong with the speakers. I don't feel there's anything wrong with those amplifiers. It's an engineering thing, it's a sensitivity thing, it's a materials and something or another. It wasn't cabling, it wasn't that the noise was picking stuff up. So we spent a lot of time, of course. I made a number of videos as I was trying to tried a bunch of products and tried a bunch of swapping things around, getting to the bottom of where that system noise, that speaker buzz, not just hiss, but buzz was coming from. And so there was a little bit of a gamble involved here because I did kind of buy these without being able to really demo or test them ahead of time. But I'm very happy that they did what I was hoping that they would do. And whether it's something about quality, the Class D, the noise floor just went away, absolutely silent. And it turned my both of my spaces, honestly, really, um, both of them. It turned them from being a bit of increasingly frustrating experience to one that I'm now kind of quite enjoying. And so this had to be right up there again with like profoundly solving the biggest problem fundamentally in my system. Uh, very happy for that. And in conjunction, being able to accomplish some other goals in the system, which was decoupling basically the living room from the theater room. So I no longer have to use the theater preamp to trigger on amplifiers with a dummy input zone 2 kind of thing, just to be able to have the speakers amplifying the living room speakers turned on. No more of that. The zones are isolated. They're independent from each other. I had them running that way in the past, and then I kind of flipped to that shared amplifier structure and didn't very much prefer that at all. So both from eliminating those frustrations and significantly improving, let's say, the architecture or the implementation of my spaces, NAD, the NAD swap is right up there as the number two pick. And then the other thing that I've just been really enjoying so much this year has been gaming and PC gaming. Actually, Steam maybe had it on kind of the agenda list to kind of look at tonight. One of the things I like, I don't know if Microsoft and Sony are doing it as well, but if you get like kind of the year in review, I think it's a common thing around all the gaming platforms nowadays, but Steam does your year in review. I was kind of glancing through my report a little bit. You can definitely get a sense of where my gaming interests lie. But a lot of the gaming this year was kind of centralized around the gaming PC, playing games with my son, mostly routed up into the living room. And there's no substitute for PC fidelity. I think I'll have the video posting Friday. Basically, 5 reasons why I'm kind of reaffirming my PC as my gaming platform of choice going into the new year, more or less. So breaking kind of that down and the thought processes and stuff behind it. But man, there's just no substitute for taking a game, rocking it up to native 4K, 100 FPS, fully maxed out settings, ray tracing, and all the bells and whistles and all that. And I'm happy to say that, knock on wood here, at least for the couple of gaming sessions that we have had, changing the controllers, even the Xbox controllers, changing them over to Bluetooth instead of the Microsoft wireless adapter, and using Bluetooth instead of the Xbox protocols with that big old fat high gain antenna that I had picked up off of Amazon. That thing's definitely staying in the configuration. We did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge 2 or 3 times, I think, as a family. We've played it 4-player, 4 controllers, and not a disconnect with the PC far away down in the basement. So very, very happy with the way all that's running and working right now. And then I squeezed one in. I do that a lot. I'll put a concept together for a video, and it'll be like five whatever is why whatever. And then I in the course of talking, it comes into my mind like, oh, there's something else, like, oh, and I forgot to account for that when I was writing up my bullet list kind of script or whatever. And so that happened to me when I was doing the favorite things best of 2023 video. And the things that I mentioned and the things that I considered initially, I didn't consider these guys, the Halo remotes, the Control 4 Halo remotes. And so I snuck them in kind of as not a top 3, but an honorable mention. Again, it's one of those things that kind of had a very tangible impact on how I'm using my system now. I had been really not wanting to touch the Control 4 Neos at all. I've definitely been pretty clear on my stance on the Neos. That's not a very it was not a very good remote at all. It was very unreliable. My Neo screens had image retention. They weren't very sturdy at all. They didn't stand up to just kind of use and abuse and that sort of thing. Mine were like bent. One of them actually had kind of gotten bent. Wi-Fi reliability pretty poor and all that. So I had taken to essentially using those to just kind of turn stuff on and then looking for other solutions. Most of the time just using the Apple TV Siri remote, which I do think is a really good remote in its own right. But now that the Halos came and I got to mess around with both of them along the way, the touch and the non-touch, I'm back to using this, and it's become in both rooms. It's become the thing that I grab to control the system now, instead of just kind of using my wall button and getting to turn on the TV or whatever, turn on the system to the Apple TV, and then grabbing the Siri remote. I keep this in my hand. I think the touch is the superior model. So if you're looking at these and you can swing the extra few $100s or whatnot, the pricing almost $1,000 for the remote is kind of tough to take, but in the context of the rest of my system, it fits. But I think the touch is definitely the nicer remote. It's not as big in the hand, not as long. The number buttons for many devices really are dead buttons. They just don't have much of a function. They do work in the Kaleidescape for a few things. They don't work for the Apple TV. So it's a pretty significant section of the remote dedicated to a whole plethora of buttons that don't get used. And if you try to apply programming to them, nobody's ever going to know that, oh, there's like secret macros on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, including myself when I'm the one that programs them. But again, this is what I grabbed. Manage the system, turn it on and off, volume control, switch inputs. I love I've done more powerful programming with Control 4 because of the Halo, specifically using the lighting agent and doing scenes and being able to select scenes from the touch screen, being able to do custom button agents, which was an awesome addition to pull up information screens in rooms where I need them, to be able to do installation mode, zooming, recall, and management, and that sort of thing. Again, just awesome. And so I only bought one, of course. Um, I normally would have defaulted to buying two of these, one for the living room, one for the theater. But being realistic, and I think fairly pragmatic as well in the decision for how much we use the theater, it's no big deal. We're going to always start upstairs and then go downstairs. So I think it was a wise call to just pick up one, leave it up here, use it for the living room, and then when we go to the theater, we just grab it out of the hall closet right over here, charging in that closet right there that you can see through the doorway. Switch the room to the theater, and away we go. So it's not perfect. There's still room for improvements. I think they still need to roll out some features and some integrations with some of the gear and devices that Control 4 can automate. I'm fairly disappointed in the battery life, so that I think that has some room to be improved. Excuse me, I still got to mute little times here and there to cough a little bit. Um, I really would like to be able to leave the remote out on the coffee table and charge it like every Sunday night. That would be my ideal for a remote. And we can't even get anything close to that. Sometimes it's basically like 1 day battery life. And so if it's left on the table from one evening to the next evening where I would just kind of sit down and look to use it, it could be depleted to the point where it's not going to last the rest of the night or not be usable. Some of that may not be one thing that I'm kind of curious to check though. Some of that may not be built into the remote. I have a suspicion, a hypothesis of sorts that one of the reasons that I get as much battery drain as I do when the remote is off the charger is because we actually have our router timed to turn off between like I think it turns off at 1 a.m. and it turns on again at 7:30 a.m., something like that, 7 a.m. So I believe, my hypothesis, I believe that if you leave the Control 4, this remote out on the table, when the Wi-Fi is down, the remote is constantly waking itself up for that like 6 hour time span and trying to connect. So it's hitting the Wi-Fi radio. It's basically alive and active that entire time. And I feel like that has something to do with some of the battery life diminishment that I experience. So maybe someday I don't know the right way to kind of test the hypothesis. I guess I could just uh, leave the router on all night and leave the remote out and take a look at it and get an idea of if it ends up being less depleted when the router is on versus when the router is off. Systematically over a couple days worth of testing, I probably found the reason. But that's my hypothesis. So it may be better, but still, I would doubt that it could still. I doubt that it could still last a week, even with some very minimal daily use. And it's not like we use our television much at all. Maybe for TVs, maybe on for an hour, a couple hours in the evening, the later evening. Sometimes the kids and stuff may use it as well, but usually it's me watching news or wrestling, or we watch a TV show or something like that late at night after the kids go to bed. Um, so, yep. And anyway, that was on the list. So the stuff that didn't make the list, stuff that didn't make the list, of course, there was the ABM 90. That was the main thing. That there was some feedback on. I think Julius, actually, you had made the comment that you were surprised that didn't make the list. And while I would say that's probably, I'm definitely like super happy to have been able to make that upgrade this year. I've reached a pinnacle. I've reached basically kind of a certain level of end game. Definitely a mountaintop. There's nowhere to go in terms of that piece of my system now, except maybe to a Storm Audio at some point, just because we can. Um, and I do think that it's audibly superior to the ABM 70. Um, Still, it's still like kind of producing the sound in the same room, that the previous thing that was in there producing sound was fundamentally producing. It did allow me to go to 4 subwoofers, and so that was pretty cool. But even still, that's kind of like more better, more better bass, more thorough bass, more dynamic bass, more equalized and balanced bass, because of the AVM90 upgrade enabling that and not having to mess with the mini DSP and stuff like that. It doesn't have that just immensely profound change, like the paradigm shift of changing the entire thing that I'm sitting in, or completely eliminating what was, again, the biggest frustration in my system. So I can't recommend the Anthem stuff enough. I love it, and I'm super super happy. What I was able to do in the audio systems this year in the 90 is a fantastic piece of kit, but it was just edged out again um, by the impact of some of the other upgrades, and just the flat out enjoyment that I had. I think, again, doing the gaming. I think in that video I made the comment that probably playing Ratchet and Clank with my son probably is my number one like audio video enjoyment out of 2023, and the gaming, that was part of the gaming PC. So the other Anthem thing, of course, the MDX, that was kind of a had to buy it, more or less. Excuse me, my Control 4 multi-zone amplifier died for like the second time, and so I was more or less forced to buy that. I can definitely say I would not have bought an Anthem MDX if I did not have a forcing function that essentially made me buy it, or made me have to go look for another solution to manage our whole home audio. In many respects, if I had this to do over again, I would absolutely not even do that stuff to begin with, quite honestly. If I was building again, I would just plan for Apple HomePods in the spaces where we wanted distributed music, and just use voice control and stuff like that to be able to command to play in the kitchen. We predominantly only really use the distributed audio. We've got 8 zones. The kitchen is used 99% of the time, and the porches are maybe used the other 1% of the time, and that's it. I never use the speakers above me here in the office, even when I sit here all day for work and I'm listening to something, a podcast or whatever it may be. I'm playing it on this laptop right here, and I just play it with the laptop speakers. I don't even use the TV speakers. I've got a Sony monitor sitting behind my laptop in front of me here, but I just use the MacBook speakers. My wife never uses the office zone. There's a zone upstairs for the kids' Lego room. They don't play music when they're usually in the Lego room. There's a zone in the kids', what is effectively our open basement area downstairs. Someday, when that's not just an empty open romper room space, and it actually is set up for adults, and there's some hangout space and some game tables or something down there, that zone may get some use. There's a zone that was in the theater when it was originally intended to be a gym, so that never gets played to. My wife's craft room has a zone, never use it. She'll basically just take her phone or her iPad, and I think she even forgets that she can AirPlay to the better speakers in the ceiling, and she just plays on her stuff. So yeah, I definitely oversmarted our household, but it's there, it's all here. The speakers are in, and so when the Control 4 amp died, might as well keep it running. So we bought the MDX. I'm happy to have made that piece of the system an Anthem device as well, for the continuity and the just general preference and whatnot towards the brand. But it's definitely not a profound, impactful item like the other ones were. Even the light trims, I thought about the light trims. I really, really do. Actually, I think the lighting probably had a more profound impact on using the theater. By changing the trims, it really challenged me to turn all of the bulbs back on and use a little bit more light in the room, and I really like it that way. Adjust some of the dimming and whatnot, and now, of course, no rattling and no noise coming out of the light trims. So that was nice, but nowhere near the other top 3, but still a pretty profound impact on the space. It definitely wasn't going to be a gaming console. I bought, I think, 2 or 3 PS5s this year, returned all of them to reaffirm myself to the PC. So easy non-choice there. The Batis Focal headphones. definitely wasn't going to be on the list. I actually sold those a couple weeks ago. I wasn't watching, but I quickly stepped through Don and Shane's stream. Chana was on there, I think, for a little while too, talking about whether certain things were over or underrated for 2023, and they actually talked about those headphones with positive sentiment. I think they're great. If you're looking for headphones, definitely put them on your short list. But they were not impactfully beneficial to me. I wore them a couple times and just came to the conclusion that I'm not a headphone person. When I need a little listening privacy, I just use my earbuds. I don't like things on my head. I don't like a lot of things in or on my ears. So regardless if it's something in ear or on ear, I'm just not a fan of it either way. And having something sitting here working for hours at a time with something heavy on my head and looking around and moving around made me feel like motion sick and dizzy-ish kind of thing. So that I didn't take it. They're fantastic headphones, fantastic piece of kit. Highly recommend them, but I wasn't going to be using them, so I just sold those off and kind of got my money back out of them. So and now I know I don't need to worry about headphones. And the headphone content didn't even really resonate very much on the channel. Um, so it's not like there was. I don't think there was a ton of value in Techthusiasm with me covering a variety of headphone things. So the subwoofers, the SB16s, they're awesome. I think they're very equitable to what I already had in terms of the Arundel 1723 2Ss. I think there's more that the SVS does better than the Arundels, but still, it's not like I stepped up to like some kind of an 18-inch. Not like I got Harbottles to keep or something like that, or went and spent like several $1,000s a subwoofer. Uh, it's not a Perlison D15S or whatever. Excellent subs. More equitable of good stuff that I already had, and of course, bringing more power, more uh, smoothness to my bass response, and all of that in the room. So super great, and I'm still on the hunt if I can find a buyer to kind of stabilize the theater on a quad set of the SB16s. But again, it's just like kind of more. It's more good stuff. Um, it didn't it didn't profoundly change the the whole experience again. So I didn't make my list. Um, and then the other one was I guess Kaleidescape too. People might ask, you seem to really enjoy Kaleidescape. Basically, the OG Kaleidescape YouTuber and one of the most kind of I think prolific voices about the Kaleidescape platform. They of course did have the Terra Prime announcement this year, so there was a new hardware. And while I think that this year actually, I guess I could have really considered Kaleidescape more, maybe even for me, based on the software features that came this year, rather than even the hardware features, because of course, I didn't buy or haven't bought anyway a Terra Prime. Um, I think the new servers are absolutely fantastic. And I think that they are an awesome upgrade in place. That the new uh, Terra Primes are significantly improved in many ways from the outgoing Terras that they replaced. And it leaves me super jazzed for 2024 to see whatever they call it, what a Strato Prime might look like. Yeah, Michael, you just called it right there. Yeah, D to D was huge. And I'm pretty sure thinking back, that was 2023. It was the beginning. I want to say it was the beginning of the year. Um, so I probably should have gave Kaleidescape a little bit more due in the best of 2023 video. I was thinking more about it from devices, I guess, not really thinking about it from a software and features perspective. But we got some really great stuff consistently out of Kaleidescape for 2023. So if anything, maybe I should have probably stretched it and done a bit of an honorable mention. Um, but as it is, I don't think I'm really intending to spend the money on a Terra Prime. I'm pretty happy with the 12 terabyte compact that I have. So it would take something very the right collaboration or the right opportunity or something to go ahead and do a Prime. I've already got a lineup, I think, of competing ideas in mind for things that I want to do into 2024. that spending out of pocket some thousands of dollars to basically either go from a 12 terabyte to an 8 terabyte SSD prime, lose a third of my space, but cut my download speeds in half. The faster your downloads are, the less space perhaps you may really feel the need to keep, because you literally become minutes away from watching anything in your library. Right now, I'm at like 12 to 15, uh, significantly better than the 45 on like the Strato S combo unit that I had before. But still, 12 minutes is plenty fast for us to make a movie watching decision of anything and make it happen. Um, so, or the other option would be to sell the 12 terabyte Tera and go get what would effectively be, or spend more money to get a 22 terabyte. And I'm not even doubling my storage. I am cutting my download speeds down by a third, and not quite doubling the storage. But I'm pretty comfortable at 12 terabyte as it is. Going down to 8 might feel tight, but I'm pretty good with 12. So that's 200 movies. We've always got room. Usually leave maybe at least 30 slots open so that we can always just pick something and download it. Delete certain things after we watch them. Keep a whole list of favorites consistently loaded and all that. So we'll see what happens in 2024. If we just see some awesome, just totally kick butt, whiz bang Strato Prime, then that may change my calculus, and we might see Kaleidescape on the best of 2024. But that was, yeah, that was it. That was everything that I did. I didn't put the Lumigen on there as well. Technically, that was a 2023 deal, because I didn't buy it. I did get to have it for it was like maybe a month, 6 weeks or so, and it's the memory of using the Lumigen has me very profoundly affecting my look ahead into 2024. But I don't think it would be fair to put it on my best of 2023, because I really think my list wants to be the best stuff that I bought, that I did. Um, Kind of like it's more of a little bit of a vloggy list than it is a general overall industry hobby list, or a summarization of everything that I was able to experience in some capacity or another. Um, because if it were going to be just a summary of anything that I experienced, it would just probably be three things from Audio Advice Live: NZ9, Focal Utopia speakers, and just some other crazy stuff like that. Barco projector or something. um, but I think it's more fun to reflect in the way that I did it. So I hope the video was cool. I hope it resonated. Um, and again, if anybody has any questions or comments on that stuff, let me know. A couple comments. We'll just roll back through a little bit here. MT Young saying my AVR won one of his awards. That was cool. Was that the Sony? Probably. I just did a consulting home theater consulting call a little bit ago, and it was mentioned to me that I think Sony won his best AVR. I haven't watched Andrew's video. I do like his channel. The Cinema 70. Okay, Cinema. So the Marantz. Yep. Yeah, Marantz was solid. The new Denon Marantz stuff is good stuff. And of course, Direct Live, more elements of Direct Live just launched on those units. I need to talk to some folks, but I think, as I mentioned before, it would be interesting to demo, review, make some content about an experience in AV10, which would give me both the opportunity to try out a really popular, a return to uh, a brand that I used quite a bit for many years actually, and be able to experiment with Dirac, which I've never used kind of firsthand. Michael, what's up, my friend? He's asking, what percent of Control 4 changes can you make through Composer versus have to rely on a dealer? I would say 95% you can do in Home Composer. Really, nowadays, the only stuff that you can't do yourself in Control 4 is add things to the system, like re-architect the rooms in the structure, and move stuff around. There may be certain other things like maybe forcing or loading new system updates and stuff like that into your system overall. But it's really just the core like system architecture things that you can't do. All of the adjustments and programming stuff you have the ability to do in Home Composer. I've got some notes for myself as well. It's been a little while since we talked. I think Control 4 and programming. We did the live stream with Dan, deep diving into a bunch of Control 4 and Home Composer. So I hope folks find that useful. But I've got a couple other video concept ideas to probably work on into the new year. Michael, or those wired headphones. These are just this cheap old stock Apple earbuds. Yeah. And I still use the headphone jack actually, even though I have a USB-C pair sitting in my drawer here as well. I found that I don't like the the way the Mac works. If you just plug in an analog pair of phones or buds on your Mac, all of the audio will automatically switch over to these in Mac OS as a system. But when you plug in a USB, you have to go in and manually like change the audio output to those headphones. So I'm still sticking to the headphone jack version. Maybe I should go look for something a little, I don't know, a little higher quality than those, but they work. I only wear them when I have to, when I'm sitting here for work from home days and stuff like that. When I need to be a little more private. As soon as the family leaves, like man, they're out, and I'm just using speakerphone, microphone, and just uh, playing to the room. James, welcome. Tuned from Arizona. Awesome. I'd like to be in Arizona right now. I wonder if I would cough less when I go outside. So we're in the 30s. 30s right now. Low of 28 tonight. And then soundly highs into the 40s here for the coming week. We had a little bit of snow this week too. Let's see what else we got. Michael, what video processor? The video. Oh, you're talking about MadVR. Well, maybe not necessarily. Would they call MadVR open source? But you can build an HTPC using MadVR as a video processor, nominally for the tone mapping for video content that's played on the PC, but seems to be there's also plenty of ways through some jiggered up video capture type things that you can actually do more of the MadVR stuff, but I'm not interested in doing that. My HTPC days are over. It's enough for me to just keep a super lean, clean gaming computer hooked up to the living room systems. I don't want to mess with advanced PC stuff. And when the 5090 is released, yeah, we'll see. So that's a little bit of my plans for the coming year. So let me put this share back up. So I thought this was fun. You can take a look at this. And if anybody has questions, topics, and stuff, fire them out. Feel free. So give up my Steam ID. Tracks Z06 on Steam. If you're interested to play any games. So this is pretty cool. 17 games played, 144 achievements is pretty good. But you can see what I've been playing. Ratchet and Clank. 30% of my game time went into Ratchet and Clank, and then Lego. So it's been me and my son. We've been knocking out games. 12% new releases. What types of games? Number one, Lego. Lego for sure. Beat 'em up, superhero. That's definitely. So there we go. This is really sweet. I thought this was really cool. It shows you the game. It's got the nice kind of backdrop art, and it tells you like when you actually played stuff. I'd actually like to be able to see. I wish they did it on a real timeline. Like show me the timeline of the year on one plot. I think that might actually be at the bottom. But so I can see kind of month to month what we played. So, yep, November and December we cranked Ratchet and Clank. We're still 2 achievements short of finishing the whole game, unfortunately. Lego Marvel, that was back in the summer, mostly July. We beat this one. This is really good. I think this is probably. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. That was Avengers. Marvel Superheroes is an older title. It was still pretty good. The thing about Lego Marvel Superheroes is it actually has the entire Marvel universe before licensing agreements and more movies and other things kind of came along and took characters away. it actually has everybody, including the Fantastic Four and the X-Men and stuff like that. So if you want to play a Lego game, you got some littler kids and whatever, you want to have some fun, and you really want to get the whole Marvel universe, do Marvel superheroes. That's the one to do. Avengers, though, this is what I was thinking. August, this was our game. Late summer, August, September, we knocked this one all out. It's almost a bummer to play this because when we do start, and hopefully, I think in 2024, we may start the road of the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe after the younger kid ages up one more number. We basically played the first two Avengers movies now, so he's going to know. I don't think he realized that. I don't think he realized that when we were playing that, like, oh, this is the movie plot. But when he watches the movie, he's going to remember, like, oh, I know what's going to happen in this movie. We just played the games. But I think this was the most fluid Lego game out of all, and we played a lot of them. Jurassic World, um, some of the DC ones, but I think this one played the fastest and the smoothest, and had some of the best gameplay. And then this is where I need to spend some time. As you can see, actually finally made some traction back in the spring. Got a little bit of time in there in November, but I need to knock this game out, put it on my completed list finally, especially given the fact that it's Batman, and then clear this off to move on to some other stuff. And then we didn't play October. We got into this a good bit. I think we're maybe 2/3 done with it, but then Ratchet and Clank came along. Yeah, so this is the chart. I think this is really cool. Like, you can mouse over a given part of the graph and it shows you what the games are. A lot of the gray is like some experimenting around some other family games. There's Turtles, Ratchet and Clank. So anyway, pretty cool. Yeah, all my playtime. There you go. If you don't think you can PC game with a controller, and you're wrong. 99% of my playtime was with a controller. That other 1% was literally navigating Steam with the mouse and keyboard. So I'm definitely a controller gamer. And again, you look up the lineup of games there, you can see where my priorities are. And then all the games that we played. Kids play this one. Totally reliable delivery service. I don't really get into that, and Horsetails is not my game. But Overcooked, Moving Out, Heave Ho, Goose Game, some cool family stuff there. And then God of War and Doom was mostly just kind of demoing. Same with Spider-Man. But anyway, I thought that was kind of fun just for a minute. Maybe I'll do a separate video. I don't know if anybody will actually watch it or not, about the year in review. So sound off in the comments. Let me know if you've got a Steam year in review page, share it in the comments and take a look at them. I was looking at the year in reviews on Steam with some of my friends. So pretty cool feature, I think, of the platform anyway. Oh, cool. Super chat. MT Young Percussion, $5. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Ooh, need a 7-channel amp. Buying either the Outlaw 7000, the Bass XA7, or a Monolith M7100X. Are budget amps like these even better than an AVR? I would say yes, they are. If for nothing else, then just by going external, you're going to get kind of more reliably guarantee power delivery. Just trying to get an idea for the prices on these. M70, $500. $500 for a 7-channel. That's the mono price. Let's see, Emotiva Bass X A7. I suppose I could probably share the gain. Here we go, $700. So let's try this. What can you get? What can we get from Buckeye for $700? In possibly a 7-channel. IPEX 8. Yeah, these are more expensive. Well, what I would challenge you to do, actually, and I did a video about this. I forget what it was titled now, but it was on the idea that a receiver and a 3-channel amplifier is probably a sweet spot for most everybody. Your LCRs are the most important speakers surely in your system, and would potentially demand or deserve more of that better power delivery. And by removing those channels off of your receiver, you're giving your receiver a little extra oomph, a little extra kind of time, a little less load, I guess actually is what I'm trying to say. Kind of cool things off and make things run a little better overall. So I'm wondering if you were to do, I'm surprised that Dylan doesn't have like an NC 502 3-channel. I might recommend that you reach out to these guys, reach out to Buckeye, talk to Dylan, and see what he could do potentially for a 3-channel. The 3-channel Purify is $1,500. The new NCX 500 is $1,500 as well. But the 2-channel 502 is $695. Yeah, I'd be really inclined to look for something Class D, or really effectively spend more money on a 3-channel amp. And again, get your LCRs on it, leave the rest of your speakers on the receiver, and I think you'll gain more that way. You'll gain more by doing that. I think it is, depending on your receiver, I think it is possible to like take too many speakers off the receiver on a too inexpensive amp, and you're probably just like washing out the value of that play. But let's see. I can't disagree there. I think I just kind of enjoy the prospect of making sure every speaker is getting the same power delivery. Yep. My Marantz 50 watts at 2 channels, wanted to give more power to the surrounds. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of those that you linked are a bad choice either, quite honestly. Outlaw, Emotivas, and Monolith. I know a few guys around that have Monolith amps and like them. Of course, I have to say that I've been on the Class D kick for a little while now. I don't know if these are these Class Ds or are they Class ABs. Yeah, AB. But I think any of this stuff is a is a great value play for sure. Does they have a 7-channel Class D? Two-channel. Yep. Curious if anybody else in the chat has thoughts if you have any of those models. I've owned Emotiva stuff in the past. I started my separates with I had both Gen 2s and then I had a Gen 3. Again, I know folks that have the monoliths and like them quite a bit. A couple other questions. Michael asked, anything big expect looking for CES? So CES, I am very, very interested to see what the lay of the land is for the 100-inch super heavyweight class of televisions. That's one of the things that I've got weighing heavily on my mind, potentially on my anticipation list for 2024. Curious if we see any bigger OLEDs at better prices, and who else kind of brings the fire to the 97 to 100-inch TV weight class. Really, that's about it. CES doesn't tend to be much else of a general home theater show. I guess NVIDIA will have, they usually do something around CES, although they tend to break it down into more of like it ends up being as much about autonomous driving and car tech and other things as it does gaming tech. CES may see the release of the supercards, the 4000 series supercards. There's no way that CES will be the 5000 series card. So, and I'm not trying to convince myself that I'm not buying a 4090 Super or a 4090 Ti. I'm going to sit on my video card until the 5000 series comes out. So, but I'll still watch the keynote, see what Nvidia might have to say. Who knows? Maybe we get even a new Shield box or something like that. That could be interesting if one comes along. But yeah, for me, really, I guess like CES is all about the TVs and whatever other wacky tech may get announced. Otherwise, for us, it's really Cedia is our jam. Um, and really when I would expect more of the interesting home theater stuff to transpire. I don't think Kaleidescape. This is just my gut reaction. I don't know anything, but I feel like if we do get 2024 Strato news, I feel like CES is both too soon, too early, and not the right place for them to announce it. So I don't expect to see that. I don't expect to see that then. I think it's too small. They're a little too small, too niche for the broader array of tech that's at CES. They would kind of just get drowned out in the noise of so much else going on. So, but yeah, it's the TVs. I don't know that I'll necessarily be upgrading in 2024, but we'll talk about that in a minute anyway. Some of the 2024 thoughts. Julius purchased a TP-Link Wi-Fi 7 router. Oh wow, YouTube will not play over Ethernet. It'll play over Wi-Fi. That's really weird. When I play YouTube, the screen goes black. With the new router, YouTube is not working. That's interesting. I honestly have no idea. I don't know if there's maybe some permissions kind of thing that needs to be set in there. Definitely make sure that a firmware update can always try the reset, but I don't think I have much other useful tech support to offer specifically. That seems like a very, very specific problem. That's a tricky one. Oh, MT Young saying, oh, speakers, CUF Q9 950 front stage. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I stand by that video. And I think in many cases it's amongst the best, one of the better like pragmatic advice videos and stuff that I've done. Like that receiver and a 3-channel amplifier satisfies most folks' needs very well, especially if we're not talking about we're talking about a living room system, a multi-room type system, and not a dedicated sound isolated type of home theater setup. Yeah, there you go, Michael. Yep, yeah, he's got the Monolith 11. Very happy with it. Another super friend. Welcome. Hockey player. Yeah, I brought that amp. Yeah, very little noise, great performance for the price. It was recommended by Audioholics. Yep. Excellent stuff. You listen per listen. Only I listen. I have been able to experience per listen speakers once. So it was at Audio Device Live. They had a dedicated demo room, and I think they had the S7Ts running in a stereo pair. Sounded fantastic. They had the in walls to the bookshelf version of the in wall. That thing's like a hefty beast. So there'll be a time coming when next the opportunity presents itself to consider new speaker upgrades. For me, it's going to be very much a pitched battle, I think, of Focal Utopias or considering per listen options when the time comes. So we will see what happens there, or who knows. I established. I had a really great conversation actually with them at Audio Advice Live, and I haven't done anything to follow up on that in terms of like collaboration or other opportunities. So I think I will end up reaching out to them in 2024 as well, even just to conversate about what things could be possible with the channel coming up. Oh, Michael, the next Audio Advice Live would be an awesome event for a new K player. Yeah, that would be cool. It's in advance of Cedia. My gut tells me we'll see the player before then, though. But I don't know. We'll see. They are definitely Audio Device is definitely pushing the show though. 2023. I don't remember how many there were. I want to say they had like 5 product announcements, at least 5 major product announcements that brands made at the show. So that's definitely a thing that I think they'll build on and continue to try to do there. Julius did reset and firmware update. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, my friend. Without digging in, I don't have much to offer on that. There you go. Sounds like an HDMI certificate issue. Reset the playback device, not the router or switch. Yeah, the best we can do, tech support 101, turn it all off, unplug everything, and then plug it all back in and turn it on and hope. Otherwise, you may want to reach out to maybe to the router company. Randman. So that was previous generation of, I think that was supposed to be JVC. Or wait, Sync. That's definitely an autocorrect. Hoping the new JVC projectors come out. I think so. I'm still going to stand by that as well. 2024 Cedia could have us seeing JVC and Sony and Epson projectors all in one or around the same time, which would be pretty awesome. And we can have a whole new level of, it's like the TV guys, they get to do it every year. Like TV, YouTube content and all that it's I don't want to say a treadmill, that makes it sound lame or whatever, but it's definitely not lame. It's fun debate. But the new TVs, like the CES to CES cycle is like the same every year. CES hits, you got all these announcements, stuff starts rolling out. Then the non-CES announcements come. TVs get refreshed by every brand every year. And so that content and discovery of what's good and what's bad and what works well and what doesn't and who messes their stuff up with firmware and who makes it better, like all proliferates through the year. But in the home theater side of things, when you're talking about projectors, it's just a slower burn when we're talking like 3-year product cycles and stuff like that. So we don't when it happens, it'll be fun, and all the conjecture of debating Sony versus JVC versus Epson and what's the best and who's doing what and all that. I definitely hope we see some really good stuff in the projector realm this year. I don't know if there's been any new like technologies per se. I presume we'll see laser everything. I don't know if we'll have like a new generation of the laser engines, maybe, any major brightness pushes and stuff like that. Maybe advent of more processing, HDR processing, maybe the advent of Dolby Vision in projectors. Maybe if they can do stuff like Dolby Vision as well, maybe I'd love to see VRR come to a projector. Hopefully everything is HDMI 2.1. Hopefully they run cooler, quieter, and that sort of thing. But other than that, I don't know what other features we might be jonesing for. I guess if we get all that in a generational upgrade, though, it's pretty solid. So, yeah, Mike, would you go to Cedia? So that was kind of one of the things I was in chat about a little bit coming up. So preparing for 2024. I've got 2 videos made. Actually, I might as well go ahead and put them up. I'll throw it out there. If you're inclined to be a channel member, I have been throughout the year, I've been trying to publish stuff that I make to the members ahead of the things going live, keeping like the Monday, Friday schedule. So I've got 2 videos made. One, which is essentially my 2024 plans for the theater, not even plans. That's too strong of a word. Let's say goals. And then one that's my 2024 goals for the living room. And I decided to do them as separate videos because I've got essentially 6 things in each area that I have in mind. Not to say that I probably may be able to accomplish all of the things on both lists within the year. But probably tomorrow I can go ahead and just release those to members. They'll probably publish. I don't know what my publishing schedule is going to be actually, because we got Christmas Day on a Monday, which is usually a publishing day, New Year's Day on a Monday, which is usually a publishing day. I'll do the PC video on Friday, 2 days, but maybe do the look aheads. And I wanted to film a longer form, like end of year, start of year tour videos, and really kind of lay out the system and the current state of everything. So actually, I want to do the tour before the look ahead videos, but I think just in order of what I was been able to make, they'll come out in opposite orders. But in terms of travel, MT Young as well asking about M-Wave. I mean, our big 3 events, I think around of interest to me around the hobby are M-Wave, Cedia, and Audio Advice Live. I'd put CES in there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to CES, or I would have already been talking about doing that. Um, but let's call it the big four. Actually, it would be awesome to do all of those in a year. But I've got two major constraints to that. One is the cost of doing it all, and if I'm not earning extra to essentially monetize the value of the travel, like some folks get a lot of value out of going, particularly to CEDIA and CES. Um, I'm not at a point where I've set that up or been able to do that. Um, so all of those shows, traveling for all of those shows incurs a cost, and spending that much to travel to all those places ends up taking away from things that I could just be doing here, and enjoying the money, or enjoying what I can do with the money. Um, so we'll see. Right now, I'm a big we'll see. I've been talking with Michael about M-Wave. I'd like to go. Definitely, there'll be creator friends and channel community friends at all these shows. I've done Audio Advice Live is really the only one that I've done, so it would be fun to do other things um, that I haven't. I definitely have the credentials to be able to buy and get passes and get into CEDIA and CDS now, um, when it comes to those things. So I'm not sure. My other limited constraint is just that this isn't any full time job doing the YouTube stuff, and so traveling to each one of those things is multiple days of vacation time from my day job. I've got basically 5 weeks of vacation. One of them is already spoken for. We've got a family trip planned in the beginning part of the year. I usually do like to take Christmas week off. That's another week that leaves me with 3 weeks of vacation. And if I went to my wife and said, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna use up all this vacation time for Techthusiasm, so we're gonna cut back on the number of family trips that we're gonna take in 2024," that would not go very well. So we'll see. I might have to make choices, basically do one or two things, or find a way to combo them up in some meaningful way with other family trips. But yeah, I wish some of them were closer. I would love to be able to just be able to drive to or access some of these events, but I don't think they're moving. Like CEDIA in Denver is pretty much a normal thing, right? Audio Device Live is going to be in North Carolina. M-Wave is pretty well set in the Midwest, but in and around the Kansas area for Kansas City for specific reasons. And CES is always Vegas. So these things really I don't think I see them moving or traveling much and changing their venues to make that any easier. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens, but they're all on my list of things to do. And I need, as we start the new year as well, I need to really sit down and kind of plan out what I think may be attainable, achievable from like a channel revenue perspective for the year, and then start lining up some decisions about how I want to spend that money. I'm super grateful to say that I definitely way exceeded my income plan for 2023, which is kind of the reason why I was able to do so much stuff, um, particularly towards the end of the year. Um, so uh, YouTube ad revenue was up, affiliate income was up, and then some of the things that I did, though, quite honestly, were funded by selling things. So I sold the Parasounds to enable the NAD purchase, um, selling the AVM 70, getting the money out of that, flowed into enabling the 90 purchase. So there was an element of that as well, but still, I definitely did better by a good margin in my revenue goals for this year than I thought I was going to be when I started. So if I have a pleasant surprise, same way in 2024, that would be great. And I am rolling some retained earnings from 2023 over into 2024 as well. I'm kind of glad I would have spent that other money. Actually, I'm glad that I didn't. Um, I had been talking about the NX7 versus NZ7 kind of quick upgrade, short-term upgrade, and I think that would have been a bad choice. So I'm glad that that one didn't pull off. As it turns out, the resale value of the NX7 was lower than where I was thought it might have been, and my available purchase price to get an NZ7 was higher than where I also thought it was going to be, and so that created much more of a gap that would have really just been wasteful spending. Other more plenty of other options, reasons to save that money and do other stuff with it. So we'll see how things go, but so I'll do a little bit of a pre-spoiler for some of my 2024 thoughts. But amongst the things that I talk about in the videos coming up, Apple TVs, of course, an easy one. I do expect we'll get a 2024 Apple TV. I don't know if that'll be in the March event. Seems that Apple's heating up to do iPads and things in spring, which is cool. Hope we see like a 15-inch iPad or something like that. But definitely, despite all of the lameness of tvOS 17.2 and some of the other stuff that they've done, I think it still remains the best overall box available, and I think it's still a superior way to go than using TV apps and stuff. And we use plenty of other Apple things on our box, so we'll be sticking with it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. What did I say? Call me Tim. Mr. Cook, let's have a conversation. And I could run that Apple TV division and like either run it in the ground because my ideas representing all of our interests are so niche that the greater consumer community won't be interested in everything, or I'll single-handedly make it the greatest home theater device to be available out there if I had my druthers. But still, it's still the best box. So no matter what, I'll be buying day one. I'm an Apple TV stalker, I guess. So if it's spring, if it's summer, if it's fall, whatever Apple event it comes from, we'll see what tvOS 18 may hold. But I'll be upgrading that right away. Other stuff that I talked about, of course, my option is still open. If I can sell the Arendals, I'm buying 2 more SVSs, standardize the room. That's really a side grade, more of a want than any kind of a need. If they don't sell, they don't sell. So be it. I'm mixing these up. So the stuff I'm talking about as well is kind of split between the theater and the living room video, but kind of cherry picking off the list. I will be definitely buying a 5,000 card when they come out. Very, very much excited, looking forward to rebuilding. I'm going to just rebuild the whole computer, I think. So I'll sell the current gaming PC, use that money to buffer against the cost of a new one, get the latest, greatest processor, motherboard, tech, RAM, and all of that sort of stuff. And the 5090 when it comes. I can't imagine that the PS5 Pro, if it does in fact come, competes in any way, shape, or form against a new gaming against a 5,000 series card and a new gaming PC. Yeah, how do you get your hands? You gotta stalk the internet. Although hopefully that stuff is easier to come by now. Actually, I'm amazed by how much I still contend. Like there's a ton of discounting going on out there for the holidays, and not a lot of buying. Best Buy right now has Xbox Series X's marked down to $350, $150 off, of course. But I think it also came out today that Sony, was it today or it might have been yesterday, but Sony sold like 50 million PlayStation 5s now, and they're basically outselling Microsoft 3-1. So Microsoft's future in console gaming is to be to be determined, I suppose. But so I definitely want to leave some money in the coffer for later in the year for the PC build. That'll probably be a couple grand. So adjust for that. So one of the reasons that I'm very happy that I didn't end up doing the projector, spending any money on the projector kind of short-term upgrade is I really need to just do the video processor thing, kind of coming to the realization that it would make no sense at all to spend a few $1,000s on a NX to NZ7 projector and not go spend that money towards like a Lumigen, at least. It gets me nowhere near a Mad VR, but I've had latent conversations and opportunity discussion kind of brewing around the video processor space. But again, coming to the realization that like that's the one thing that I don't have in the theater now the one class of device that's not represented in the theater. And I think that that's the next thing that would have the most profound impact on the usability of the room, with using my whole screen space, not having to futz around with lens memory settings and all that stuff, being able to just go in the room, sit down, press play, and things will adjust and shift and adjust for aspect ratios and adjust for um, subtitles and all that stuff without me messing with it, and the family as well. So yeah, Sammy, you got it right. Yeah, I'll get much more out of a video processor. So that's the most profound thing. So 2024, we'll have something. Um, Lumagen or MadVR, there's reasons that again that I could kind of consider either one. But as we go into the new year, I'm going to definitely be working on this more actively, to make either one or the other happen in some way or another. So we'll see where that goes. But that really is like a finishing piece of the theater. So MT Young, how are you dealing with that currently? Yeah, without the video processor. So um, I just use lens memory settings in the JVC. I nominally have three modes. I've got a 16:9 zoom, I've got a 185 zoom, and I've got a scope zoom. Um, Technically, I have an intermediate scope zoom as well, where I kind of shift things up so that if there's subtitles below the scope image, I can still get them. But that's the that's what I do. And then on the Control 4 remote, I've got a custom button agent set up that lets me jump between those zoom modes. So, but it's slow. It's an arduous process on the projector. When I had the Lumagen with Chris Deering, he programmed it up so that it did it did all of my uh, adjustments, switching. We basically more or less set up my screen like a 2.0-ish aspect ratio, and then um, did adjustments to basically zoom and kind of fill the screen for every aspect ratio, and it was fantastic, like being able to do that in there. So yeah, that's Sammy. If you ever want to do a demo of the NV, I appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah, I'll let you know for sure. I've seen them now at a couple different places, and at Audio Device Live a couple times, and then actually Ryan was in town here in the Detroit area at a Sony event. That was already last year, I think, or maybe that was early 2023. Um, Demoing MadVR with Sony. So it's just a matter of like talking more with those guys and seeing if they want to do a demo, collaboration, review, like what other opportunities uh, may exist there. And we'll see where that one goes. But that's got to be on the list. Like again, it's the one class of thing that would have the most profound impact on using the room, far away and beyond anything that any new projector upgrade would do. So that's got to be it. Um, and then after that, it's more about the theater anyway, kind of thinking more about upgrades. It would be a projector upgrade potentially. After that, the new generation, whatever ends up looking great in the next generation, but get some get more brightness, HDMI 2.1, get to laser, get to all that sort of stuff. And then I've got kind of my loose speaker roadmap in my mind. I don't think I'll probably get that far in the theater in 2024. I was just chatting. Actually, Michael and I were chatting a little bit today, and my rough thought was I need probably 2 more years to achieve like real end game-ness in my setups in a few specific ways. I don't think 2024 will be it, but 2024, 25 together could be really good. So, but I've actually got a little bit almost more of a focal thought aside from the video processor, which I would put above anything else. Um, Wanting to do some more stuff in the living room. I started 2023 talking about the room right through there. A little hard to see in the stream, but that's my TV. of course, and then that bump out wall surrounding it. That needs to get defaced. The drywall needs to get ripped down. It needs to get restructured a little bit. And in doing so, I can stretch the TV inset footprint to be able to fully and properly accommodate up to 100-inch 16:9 screen with bezels. And in doing so, I can rejigger the speaker columns so that I can accommodate taller speakers. Right now I'm height limited with the Triad sub and the Focal IW LCR6s. I don't have the height to even consider like the higher end Perlisten S series in wall or a Focal Utopia. And even right now, if I wanted to change in walls in there, it'd be a mess because the holes are cut in the drywall, and so you can't just cut different holes into drywall that has holes cut. So the drywall would have to be redone anyway, and I can set things up more modularly. So I think I need like a few $1,000 probably and a handyman in here to really facilitate more or less tearing that thing down to the studs, and then reshuffling some of the stud layout and work of that. And then that begins to open up the opportunity to do super heavyweight TVs, upgrade some speakers, and so on. And so I'd really like to see that project happen. As it is, I've still got 4 other projects around our household that need to be done. Need some handyman help, some things that need to be refinished and work. So it's amazingly difficult to find folks to do work, like just having people like ghost you, or like seeing handy folk working at somebody else's house in the neighborhood when you're like out for a walk or something, and going up and say, hey dude, I've got some projects, are you interested? And they're like, yeah, talk to me next spring because my book of work is locked up until then. So we'll see. But if I could leave 2024 with that wall redone, nominally a 98-inch TV in there, and potentially like Focal Utopias with either their sub or maybe the SVS in-wall sub, something like that would be phenomenal. And then the living room would be endgame, pretty much. So we'll see where that goes. But the other honorable mention I had, something I'd be interested in seeing if it comes in 2024, is an Anthem STR follow-up, because I feel like that's the last bits of the Anthem lineup, or the next bits of the Anthem lineup that's due for a refresh. And there's a few very specific things, valuable things that they could do with the STR line. It needs HDMI, it needs the web UI, it needs a few other improvements to get it, say, at the level in some respects, not audio capability wise, but feature wise, to get it at the level of the MRX and AVM models. So I don't think that would be until Cedia as well. So we'll see. There could be a lot of just like waiting and saving money in 2024, because some of the things that could be of keen interest may not come right away. So if a new STR is coming, I suspect that would be a CD announcement. The projectors would be a CD announcement. Kaleidescape, I think, again, I don't think it'll be Cedia, but I don't think it'll be at the beginning of the year. The GPU stuff will be in the fall, pretty sure on that as well. So we might be sitting pretty. One of the things that I still want to make the video about, though, is kind of contentment with my system, that I feel like anything else that I do from this point is just, it's almost because I can, not because it's like anything is necessarily mandatory after the video processor is in. I'm just super happy with the way everything is working and performing. So pretty much spoiled those videos, but nonetheless, there'll be a deeper dive into some of those thoughts coming in those conversations to be. We'll hit a few more questions. Michael, what are the dimensions of a theater for 4 subs? My room is, I always forget, it's like 19 by 18 or 18 by 17. plus or minus something in the longer dimension is the projector screen throw dimension, and the tighter dimension is the width. So super happy with 4 subs in there though, for sure. Not even necessarily for output. I don't probably need any more bass output, but 4 subs, particularly in my room where there's very, very different subwoofer dynamics between the front of the room and the back of the room. And being able to put things all over helped with that, like incredibly so. Hockey player. Oh, I got an Intel briefing recently. Yeah, if I were you, I'd wait for the 15th. Yep, absolutely. Or I would expect essentially that the 15th gen CPUs and the 5000 series NVIDIA cards will coincide with each other towards the end of the year. Technically, if it becomes hard to get a hold of those PC parts, it may even be in early 2024. That might even, I'm sorry, 25. That might even be an early 2025 endeavor in just to have all the bits and pieces. I don't know if the 15 gen CPUs will need yet another motherboard chipset revision. So there could be a lot of things that need to come to be able to actually build that computer in its totality. And if any of that stuff is actually hard to come by, that could be problematic. But even if it's like January, I'll need to make sure to reserve the money for it out of 2024's income regardless. So no matter what, it's like a 2024 spending plan. Gary, what's your thought on aftermarket power cords on subwoofers? I use third-party power cords on my subwoofers. I specifically bought a couple of 2-foot and 3-foot power cables just off of Amazon. One of the main reasons I did that, one, I wanted custom length so that I didn't have a lot of extra cable just spooled up. And two, I wanted right angle plugs on the wall side. Actually, the right angles on both. They're right angle plugs on the wall side and on the subwoofer side. So that was an important aspect of that. But I've used aftermarket power cords on devices. I use them on a lot of my devices actually, just to manage the lengths and stuff like that. So no problem at all. Just make sure you're buying like thicker gauge ultimately. Try to look at the gauge at least of the power cable that may have come with the subwoofer and keep the thickness. You probably want a thicker gauge cable, which I want to say 14, I think maybe is what I'm using on the subwoofers. What most subwoofers take, maybe 12. I don't super quote me on that. Look at your cable and try to make sure you got a nice fat piece of copper between that subwoofer and the wall. LB MWM3. When you download movies to your Kaleidescape, would you recommend the highest gigabit of the movie between HDR UHD? Oh, so no, I think I just download HDR because I want to use the HDR. UHD, for those that don't know, this is kind of a confusing designation in the Kaleidescape platform. You may see sometimes movies are designated as either one. If I can show an example of this really quick. So if you go to the case store, let's go to movies. Oh, that's not what I wanted. And let's try to, so you can see on a lot of these, they say both HDR and UHD, but then occasionally you'll see the film. Yeah, okay, here we go. There's something in the barn. That's UHD only. So that means it's in 4K SDR is ultimately what that means. And if something has both tags, it means it's available in 4K SDR and 4K HDR, which is what the HDR tag means, and 4K SDR, which is what the UHD tag means. Some people in some setups may be inclined to only download the UHD copies because they actually don't want the HDR. Maybe they have certain projectors. There's a brightness deficiency, right? Projectors have a hard enough time doing real HDR as it is. Some models more than others, depending if you have a video processor and how you're running things. You may want higher fidelity color space video, but not even to mess with the prospect of HDR. I think I know a few folks with their Kaleidescapes, at least that generally do that or have a preference that they download the UHD only. But I don't think you'll notice if you look at the sizes. There may be subtle size differences between HDR and SDR. So here, Aliens recently upgraded 81 gig HDR, 79 gig SDR, both in 4K. Um, that's not the reason to do it ultimately, or to choose one or the other. You choose one or the other because you either want the HDR or specifically maybe you don't. So that's the bigger deal there. Should point out as well, actually, I think there's another wave, another pretty massive wave of stuff for sale in Kaleidescape. So for the K Club members out there, the Christmas sale is afoot in the store, and there's a lot of movies, recent releases and stuff as well, now available at pretty significantly discounted prices. So a whole page, that's 120 films right there, plus, yeah, so what is that, maybe 200 movies nominally on sale right now, including a bunch of big releases from this year: Mario, Fast 10, Transformers, Cross the Spider-Verse, Puss in Boots, Flash, Creed 3, Cocaine Bear, Blue Beetle, Meg 2, Turtles, all kinds of stuff. So check it out. It's a good time to grab some movies in the K store. Let's see, we got any other comments here? Michael, I really like to see the video processor content. I really like to make it. And I really would like to have both, have had an experience of having a Mad VR in my system and really checking out all the stuff that it does kind of above and beyond the Lumigen, for better or for ill, depending on who you ask. But we'll see. Like I said, that's gonna ratchet up to the top or of the agenda for 2024. IQ player, yeah, 15th gen Intel CPUs, LGA 1851 is that. Forget my designations. LGA. I always think of it more about like Z 590, 690. What are we on, like Z 790 now? So this, yeah, LG 1851 is upcoming socket for Arrow Lake, Lunar Lake desktop processors estimated. Okay, yeah, so this is the tick. The 15th gen CPU is the tick major release, not the talk. So perfect. So definitely need a new motherboard, but it will have to be a new socket motherboard that will be coming available when the CPUs come available. So plan accordingly. I'll have to do. I haven't really looked at it just because I haven't had much of a need to. But I don't know if we're looking at like by end of 2024. Like, are we looking at DDR6? Are we looking at like PCI? Would it be? We've got Gen 4 SSDs. There may be Gen 5 SSDs, perhaps by then. We'll see what's what. But I'm looking forward to building that computer for sure. Be a powerhouse. Sammy, yeah, I bought about 10 movies that I didn't buy during Black Friday. Ooh, another Terror coming. Cool. Yeah, plenty of space. Yep. Yeah, I've been kind of trickling movies into my Kaleidescape library. I've actually been buying a little more on Apple than K to keep the iTunes library in parity, but mostly because I just went so long without really buying Apple movies. Most of this year, I don't think I've really bought on Apple other than to check bit rates or maybe like do a bitrate video. That's really been about it, versus kind of like continuing to build my library, just because I bought on K. When it's come to movies, I've just bought them on Kaleidescape and we've watched them there, and that's been about it. So DDR5 only, yeah, plus PCI Gen 5. So Yep, I'll do the whole PC from scratch. So we're talking new case. I definitely know the case that I'm looking for. I want that fishbowl style. I showed this off, I think, on a other stream. I want that fishbowl style case. This thermal take is awesome. Vertical I/O. So we'll be looking at the new motherboard configuration, some cutting edge memory. I wonder how much faster PCI Gen 5 SSDs may be than Gen 4, maybe even take the SSD up to 4 terabytes, because games continue, mostly like new games, continue to only get bigger. Bump up the power supply, 1,000 watt at least, maybe, who knows, 1,1300 watt just to have headroom. 5090 card. We'll see like CPU cooler. This case will still support a 360 millimeter radiator. So maybe inclined to still stick with the water cooling, or go air, Noctua type air cooler, outfit it with a bunch of other Noctua fans, and yeah, away we go. That'll be that. Hopefully on the order of maybe $4,000, sell the current PC for $2,000, 2,500, and pony up the difference. Would be the best case scenario, as long as all the stuff is available when the time comes. Oh, the other thing that's still out there too is the Apple Vision Pro. So I put up a couple polls, actually, I wanted to make mention of in the live, in the podcast here, that I thought were interesting. So one, I posed the question if folks in the community and the channel audience were interested in hearing about the Apple Vision Pro, and it was 70-30, 70% yes, 30% no. And I did specifically write the post kind of like talking about it from a home theater perspective. Like, are you interested in the Vision Pro, and content about it considering home theater perspective? So that could be that could be fun. But it's supposed to come out fairly early in the year. I don't know how hard it may be to get one. I doubt I'm getting one in any privileged or review type special capacity. So if I want it, I'm probably just going to the store and buying one. But I'm still very intrigued by that device. I'm a little scared to pony the money up to buy one, not knowing for sure how I might like it and whether the content may fully resonate or not. But at least from the poll, there's pretty significant interest in hearing about the Vision Pro. So I'm holding out some interest on that. So I'll be rolling into 2024 able to do kind of one big channel purchase, certainly in Q1, but maybe not two. So it could be a bit of a competition as well of like video processor or the Vision Pro headset. So we'll see what happens there. I've got a couple other competing hobby interests as well. So I'm also hoping maybe not when next we do a live stream, but hopefully by January, I will have a non-child piled up desk backdrop. And we actually got half the room cleaned out. My son and I, we did a bunch of stuff. And so I'm hoping to have a much nicer broadcasting, conferencing backdrop. It won't be home theater. It'll be nerdy comic book stuff. You can actually see some of the pictures on the floor down there. That's a Batman, like Golden Age Batman print, Bob Kane, signed. I bought quite a while ago, but I've got a really good plan. All my hardcover books are going to go on some bookcases back here, and I've got a whole art plan, print plan, comic book plan for my background. So that'll take a little bit of fundage to start the year as well. So, but I'm excited to do that project also. A PCI 5.0 speed NVMe drive, so 2 times faster read speeds, 5 faster write. Yeah, huge bump. So anything to like make game load times instantaneous. Hopefully it has a tangible improvement in that respect. hero of mine. I wish Apple would make Apple TV for high-end music listening. Yeah, don't we all? We'll wait another WDC, see what happens. The one thing that I thought was interesting is I do wonder if like Vision Pro could also help this initiative along, perhaps for higher quality uh, audio video with the advent of Vision Pro. Where this isn't. Sorry, I'm looking for one. No, that's not what I'm looking for. There was. I can't find it now. The latest. What was it? Yeah, no, it's not shown. I can't find the page right now, but I found it a little bit ago that the the last 17.2 update that came along enabled SharePlay video with multi-channel surround sound Atmos audio. And if you go back to earlier this year, when I was kind of first musing on the Apple Vision Pro and what it could mean for home theater, one of the things that it needs to be able to do is it may have this really awesome visual experience in front of you, right? Massive, super high resolution, perceptual screen, right in your eyes and all that stuff. But who wants to listen to either little speakers that are on the strap, or who wants to listen to high-end home theater, right, on a pair of Apple AirPods or whatnot. So what they need to do is, if you have a Vision Pro and you have an Apple TV connected to your television and audio system in the same room, you need to be able to put on the Vision Pro. You need to be able to start playback of a piece of content, and you need to be able to share play that content to your own Apple TV in your own room, which will then play that content simultaneously on your system. Yeah, I like it. Got the thumbs up on this one. Simultaneously play that content on your system while so you have the video of the Vision Pro. It's time synced to the video that may be displaying on your screen at the same time. But most importantly, it pipes the video synchronized in real time to your audio system, to your high-end speakers, to your Focal, Anthem, NAD audio, or if you're sitting in your theater with the Vision Pro on instead of using your projector or something, you have your whole Dolby Atmos multi-channel surround system working, and SharePlay keeps everything in sync to each other. So I wonder if they're thinking about it in that way. Again, I really need to go work at Apple, but that was very deliberately in the release notes for 17.2. So cross our fingers and hope maybe something interesting happens with that. So that's one of the main elements of the Vision Pro that I would be kind of interested to play around with. And then the others would be just who knows. I'm really curious how some specific apps are going to work with the Vision Pro. Just like, man, reading comic books, boom, on this big old view would be awesome, and who knows what else. So we'll see. But that's kind of what I've got in mind. So yeah, I think we'll wind it down, I guess. So it's been a really great year. I think that the channel will end pretty comfortably over 13,000 subscribers. The year in review for Techthusiasm, for the whole endeavor here, has just been insane. So I end the year super thankful and appreciative of everybody that's out there supporting the channel and stuff like that. I'm just looking forward to continuing to push in 2024. Maybe set like a BHAG big hairy goal, maybe for 2024 to get to like 30,000 subs and just keep growing, keep doing stuff, just keep making content, having fun, playing around with these things, sharing the experience, helping people out, and whatever, wherever that goes, wherever we go with that, we go with that. So pretty cool, and definitely have some big plans ahead to execute and document and cover and probably screw some stuff up and hopefully do some things right along the way. So yeah, that's it. What else? I don't think there's much else. We've been. Oh, I'll give one final plug to something that I just discovered. It was mentioned in some other like podcast, YouTube videos that I was watching. Netflix has a show called Blue-Eyed Samurai. Any anime fans that are out there, I've been definitely underdeveloped in my enjoyment of or following of watching some anime shows and stuff like that. I have been reading. I've been reading these, getting from the local library. Berserk, largely held up as one of the greatest mangas and animes of all time. I'm on book 5 already. Definitely very adult, but I've been reading through that, and but I heard a mention of like Blue Eye Samurai being a really really great show. So I watched the first couple of episodes yesterday, I think. So that might be what I'm gonna. My wife has already crashed out for the night. I think I'm gonna go catch an episode of that. Really, I've only watched 2 episodes, and there's only 8. Although I think it was renewed for a second season. But yeah, if you're into anime, maybe give it a look. I was pretty impressed by what I saw in the first 2 episodes. Again, very adult, so not one to watch with the kiddos and whatnot. But really, really, I think really strong like art direction, really great animation, looked great, sounded great, and the story was kicking up already in the second episode in particular as well. So pretty cool. The other thing that we watched, I'll give a thumbs up to as a little guilty pleasure. We're looking for holiday movies, Christmas movies. A lot of the Christmas movies this year that hit the streaming services, if you read the reviews, they're all pretty bad. We had fun watching a couple of them, but Netflix just got another one called Family Switch, which was a little derivative, but it hit my demo. It hit my demo perfectly. So we had some fun with that one. Basically, a couple of mid 40s parents with an older daughter and a younger son switch bodies with their kids, and they all have to live each other's lives for a few days. So there's some really smart jokes in there in that movie from the parental side, at least. So speaking from experience. Maybe if you're not in the same demo, it probably might be one of the worst movies you watched this year. But we had fun with that one. So cool. All right. I think we're going to call it. We'll see. We may not do another podcast until January. There's only one more week left in the year, but we'll see. It could be possible to do one next week. I hope everybody gets all the awesome tech that they're looking for Christmas. If you're still doing some shopping, not too proud to beg. Please use the affiliates. I was hoping to see like a massive ton of orders in all the affiliate dashboards, and I really didn't see them this fall. I still very much contend there's a lot of discounting going on and not a lot of sales. So just one more run through of final comments. We'll call it a night. Hero of mine. Do have faith in Apple TV to bring more in the future? I think so. I think sometimes you take a step back to take 2 steps forward. But I still think it's the best box and the potential is there. Hockey player, congrats on a great 2023. Thank you. Super appreciative to you. There's definitely some folks in the channel community that I've had a great time kind of like building up friendships with. That's actually been one of the awesome kind of outcroppings of engaging with folks. And let's say the number of friends that I have in my active like text history has grown grown in 2023 as I've met and really chatted with and got to know some awesome folks in the community. You know who you are, Michael. Yep, had such a big impact on my theater. Yeah, I love the consulting sessions. I think it's it's super fun. I did one today, and just I'm happy to share my opinion. It's basically tech therapy. What would I do if it were me and I had these things or this money in this system? Um, so I really enjoy kind of applying that, helping folks out with the guidance and maybe enlightening some other thoughts and avoid some mistakes, learning from my mistakes and stuff like that. So they're all super fun. Booking now. Just hope 2024 brings a solid media player. Our evolution doesn't seem to cut it right now. Yeah. Save up for that Kaleidescape or cross your fingers for WWDC 2024 when we may finally see high bit rate, high quality audio and video brought to iTunes finally. Also checking out the Purify. Yeah, call Dylan. Talk to Dylan. He may be able to, do something for you. Let him know that Techthusiasm sent you. But definitely, if you're looking for those modules and you want to do it with the best value play, Buckeye is your way to go. Sure. Julius, I know you have an LG, so you may be a little biased, but your choice, would you pick Sony or LG? I mean, Sony's really won the accolades this year, following the TV guys around YouTube a little bit. Granted, I didn't pay as much attention to the TV sentiments this year as I have in prior years. I feel like Sony, I was constantly at least seeing the headlines of like the Sony TVs really representing really strong this year. If I were to buy a 98-inch LED television, or really probably any television at that level of size, I would be looking at the 90 X90L, I think is that the right model number? Sony 98, yeah, X. Definitely over Hisense and probably, yeah, 98 X90L. I saw that TV in person at that Sony event. I would love to be able to do larger format OLED, just because I'm really getting used to looking at the OLED, the blacks and all that stuff. So I don't think you can go wrong either way. I think Sony's come on strong, and I think they have a couple of virtues. LG has a couple of virtues as well, particularly on the gaming side, the gaming chops. And while I've got a gaming PC with an NVIDIA GPU hooked up to a TV, and LG supports real G-Sync, that's cool, just to light the lights and all that stuff. But we'll see. I'm really curious to get an idea or see what CES holds, because again, that'll whatever the larger format displays and whatnot will play a big part potentially of things that we may be doing here coming up. Yeah, here remind sales are overall dropping in all industries. Yeah, it's wild. Like the amount, the level, the ongoing like discounting of things, I think initially made me really bullish to say like, God, there's going to be like a crazy amount of holiday spending this year, but I don't know. The reality may be far more bearish. So, all right, MT Young, yeah, have a good night. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming out. Thanks for the super chat, for sure. Always happy to talk about this stuff. Yeah, LG makes Sony's panels. Yep. Yeah, there's only so many sources, particularly at least for the OLEDs, right? So, but the implementation makes a big difference in the results that you get as well. So, Otto, hey Otto, Blue-Eyed Samurai is fantastic. Yeah, if you watched the whole show, I had the inclination. So the big kind of reveal that was in episode 2, I won't spoil it because I think it is relatively something of a new show. But let's just say there's a big reveal about one of the characters. I had already kind of suspected it actually in episode 1, but it came to light in episode 2, and so I think this just again 2 episodes in anyway. I think the show has a lot of storytelling potential, strong storytelling potential. So get a knock through that for sure. And then I don't know what show I may set my sights on after. Still trying to read a lot more as well, reading a variety of comics and stuff. But all right, that's it. We're gonna call it. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks you for an awesome 2023. Super rewarding. Um, just super happy with this whole endeavor and everything that's come from it, and super jazzed for another year of it. So we may be back next week. We'll see. Same time, same bat channel. If so, if not, everybody have a great Christmas for sure, and a happy New Year, happy holidays, and anything else that you may be celebrating. I hope everybody is happy, healthy, um, and having a good time, and that you all get to open some awesome tech Christmas morning. Thanks so much.